All right, we're back. It is the wrap-up show here. John and Jim with you on this Sunday evening. The Padres are just over a week away from opening day, believe it or not. We're about a week and a half out from opening day. They're dealing with some injuries in their starting rotation that we're going to get into. Their new chairman has spoken to the media, at least to Kevin Acee, and we'll react to some of the comments that he made. Plus, is Dylan Cease going to be the Padres opening day starter? So John and Jim with you on the wrap-up show. We're getting you ready for the lead up here to opening day over the next 60 minutes or so. So please make your way in. Subscribe. We have year-round content for Padres fans. Smash the like button for us. You can follow us on X at John Schaefer, at Jim Russell SD. And we do appreciate your super chats if you want to support our work and the channel. If you want to control the direction of the conversation, click the $sign below the chat box and we'll get your comments live during the show here tonight. And also, if you want to become a member, you can click the join button down below. I think the biggest Padres story of the weekend was they went to the SDFC game. That's probably your biggest Padres spring training story of the weekend. That and probably Yu Darvish dealing with some fatigue. Hopefully not anything more than that. I think they're going to push back a bullpen maybe a day or two. That clearly is not the end-all be-all, if that's the worst of it. But 10 days out, Padres getting ready to name an opening day starter. Their new chairman has spoken, and Yu Darvish hopefully is going to be good to go for the season, because if not, Padres are going to have some issues at the back of that rotation.
Well, it just shows from the start that to ask for Yu Darvish to give you like 30 starts this year might be pushing it. Now, they don't need him to go 30, right? Like he gives them, honestly, John, if he gives them like 25, I think that's still really good for his age.
25 starts?
Yeah. Like they don't need him to go 32. I think if you give him, if he gives them between 24 and 27 starts, I think that will be what they're looking for. Because if they're competing and they make the postseason, I'd much rather have Darvish not like be taxed in the regular season and be ready for, a postseason run. But anyway, I'm not really worried about the fatigue with Darvish. He's almost 40. I get it. And my guess is Dylan Cease will be named the opening day starter tomorrow. And for whatever reason, John Heyman is pushing a narrative that, Dylan Cease could get traded before the start of the season.
That makes no sense, especially with a couple of things that they're dealing with right now. This Darvish fatigue, the fact that they've held on for Cease this long, even though teams have been calling on him. And I think they're like, again, if you're day one in charge of the San Diego Padres and your name is John Seidler, it's probably not the best time to move Dylan Cease when you've just been named the chairman of the San Diego Padres. To me, that would make no sense. Now, is there a move heaven and earth trade that could like pry him away from San Diego? Maybe, but that doesn't make a ton of sense to me. I know there's pitching injuries around the sport. I get it. I'm sure there are. Teams can typically overcome them, and then you get to July, and then you can add starting pitching. But I'd be shocked if Dylan Cease, here's what would be shocking, Jim. They name him opening day starter, then they move him. Like there's no world where that could happen, where the Padres name Cease their opening day starter, then like a day later he's dealt.
Like, let me just pull up, hold on, where is he? Even though he blocked me. Yeah, he retweeted Sammy's post about Dylan Cease today, and all he said was trade value rising. Like, what are you trying to do, John? I mean, no shit. Yeah. You don't. He doesn't. Like, are you serious? It just makes no sense. And he's come out in the last, like, in an article yesterday. Forever on the block star righty Dylan Cease wants to stay in SD, but he's prepared for yet another trade. Yanks need to try here. Like, what?
Right.
And then 2 days ago, opinions vary widely on whether Dylan Cease will be dealt this spring, but he has to be on the Yankees' clear target. In here, Cease talks about the frequent life on the block. And then 2 days ago, not a ton of great options to replace Cole, but Yankees need to get one of these guys. And he mentions Dylan Cease. In the last 3 days, he has posted about Dylan Cease and another one. Here are 9 rotation options for the Yankees, including 2 great ones. He's posted about Dylan Cease 6 times in the last 3 days, pushing a narrative of him not only on the block, but like about to be potentially traded.
Interesting. Yeah, that is weird. I mean,
I know that he pushed narratives for the New York clubs. Like I know that it definitely is in the pocket of every Boris client. I know that he is definitely pushing the narrative for his those big stars. I know that he definitely pushes narratives for the Yankees and the Mets, but like, bro, give it a break. I mean, if he's going to be traded, the
yeah,
only reason he's going to be traded this year is that the Padres stink.
I agree completely. I think he could be traded if the Padres aren't good in the middle of the year. I think that's the scenario where Dylan Cease would be traded. It's not ideal, obviously, for Padres fans. I don't see a scenario where he's dealt prior to the season. I mean, we're so close at this point. Well, yeah, Preller has made moves this time of year, but normally to bolster. Like you're entering a year coming off 93 wins. You're not moving Dylan Cease right now. And Darvish is not a kid. So, like, I'm not going to rely more heavily on you, Darvish, by moving Dylan Cease. I mean, you need Cease, King, Darvish, Pavetta to carry the way. Like, if you're getting to the postseason, there's your combination with really good starting pitching. Hopefully that leads the way. You win 86 plus games, put yourself in a position to get to the NCAA tournament. You know where my mind is.
Yeah, I think so.
You put yourself in a position to get to the postseason, but I'm not moving Cease. Truthfully, I'm not moving King, and I'm crossing my fingers that my top four stay healthy. That's what I'm doing. Like, because that's my concern. My concern is if you do have something like, hey, Darvish has fatigue and he can't go for a period of time, and now all of a sudden you got Kolek and Kyle Hart in your rotation for 5 turns through the rotation for a month plus, that's when I start getting concerned. If that doesn't happen, they probably have the starting pitching that can carry them, hopefully towards the postseason.
It would be just idiotic. It would like, honestly, John, it would be season suicide, in my opinion, if you traded Dylan Cease right now with less than 2 weeks to go before the start of the season. See, it would be season suicide from AJ Preller. You do not trade away your ace. What is it? 11 days before the start of the season. I mean, you gotta be kidding me.
You got to be the Chicago White Sox.
Yeah, you have to literally be like prepared to win maybe 50 games this year at best.
Yep.
And that's not the Padres. The Padres are in win now, contend now mode. They have pieces. They might not have all the pieces, but they do have pieces to contend and compete. I think this team is going to be in it all year long unless something catastrophic happens. But yeah, I mean, again, the narrative from John Heyman, who is, the water carrier for the Yankees and the Mets and all Boris clients, it's not happening, John. Sorry. And if it does, then I will be completely shocked and I'll destroy AJ and I'll destroy the Padres for hijacking their season before it even starts.
Let's get to the first super of the night, guys. We appreciate you hanging out. If you're here, please subscribe here on content for Padres and baseball fans. And we appreciate the super chats like this one from JD's Third. You can click the $ below the chat box if you support our work, if you want to see your comment on screen, if you want us to answer a question, if you want to control the direction of the conversation, just click that $ below the chat box like JD's Third, who's got the first super of the night. He says, were the guys hung over from partying last night? Well, if they were, they played pretty damn well because the split for the Padres this spring is good. They beat the Angels 4-2. They lost at home 5-4. Dylan Cease did pitch here today. But
the squad that lost was the squad that was in San Diego last night.
Yeah, the home squad. Who cares is what I would say. And I hope they were, truthfully. I hope they were.
Dude, who cares? It doesn't matter. I could care less. I think it's a funny thing that, split squad day to day, and Schulte's like, nope, you're all in the lineup. Like, you know what I mean? It's like one of those things like, well, I know you guys went out late. You guys went out late last night. Might be tired, but too bad. You're in the lineup. Who cares? Whatever. I literally could care less.
Did you see the Cease line?
Yeah, he was great. Now, he was not in San Diego last night, probably because of this reason. He was pitching today.
Yeah, if you're pitching, you can't do that.
But he was great today. I mean, he was fantastic. He's ready to go.
Yeah. 4 1/3 innings. That's, you're getting to the point where you're getting ready for opening day when you go 5 innings.
Yeah, honestly, I think the rotation will be as such. I think it'll be Cease, King, Darvish, Pavetta, No real surprises there, honestly. And I think it's going to be between Kolek and Hart for the 5th spot. And again, those things are not as big of a deal, but with so little things to talk about this spring with this team, the 5th starter spot has been like pushed to the top of things you talk about. So that's my guess. If it's flip-flopped, if King is the opening day starter, that's great. But I do think Cease will be named the opening day starter tomorrow.
I agree with you completely. Thank you, LLM213, for the super chat. Again, if you guys want to contribute and support, you can click the $ below the chat box. He says, how do you get fatigue already? Season hasn't even started. Major concern for the whole season here. Actually, often fatigue will happen in spring training because it's like a ramp up period of time. And there's examples where it isn't problematic, and there's examples where it is problematic. But for like a 38-year-old pitcher to be dealing with fatigue in spring training, I don't think it's probably that atypical. These years are long, guys. It's March. Hopefully they got to get through October. So some amount of fatigue is probably to be expected, I would think, over the course of a year.
And instead of having him miss a start and everyone freaking out, he has fatigue. You know, like guys have certain things that pop up, especially Darvish, who has been pitching for damn near 20 years now. Like, I think he can take a couple days off here in spring. I think he's going to be okay. You know, I'd have no worry.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, I hope so, because I am a little bit worried about Darvish's overall health as a
for the season, getting through the year.
Yeah, and I'm not concerned because of the fatigue, to your point. I think it is fair to worry about a 38-year-old pitcher that had like a half season last year, not because of injury, but a half season the year ago, and then he's had some back stuff before, and he's just had some stuff as a Padre, which is normal, I would expect, for someone that's in his late 30s. But he's fully capable and healthy, but the key part of that statement is when healthy. So they're going to need to keep him healthy. And yeah, I don't care if he misses his first start of the regular season, if they have him healthy, to your point, for 25 plus starts, because that's what's going to matter here for the Padres. But if it is something of significant, we can't take fatigue and say it's significant. We can't go that far on March 16th.
Yeah, dude. I mean, bro, how are you fatigued right now? I'm fatigued.
I'm fatigued, dude. I'm dying.
Everybody's fatigued. Like, it's just, what do you mean? You know what I mean?
I'm freaking older than him, but yeah.
Yeah. So like everybody's tired, especially when you're almost 40. It's just it's nothing I think to be worried about, honestly. The only thing is if they were like, you know, he was feeling something in his arm, then I'm like, red alert, But fatigue is fatigue.
Fatigue is fatigue. I like that saying. Yeah. Let's get back to this conversation in a moment. I do want to thank our viewers for their support of the channel, also for their support of our longtime title sponsor, nearly 4 years. Mark Nimitz here on the wrap-up show on YouTube. If you have an insurance need, get in contact with Mark. I've got, what do I have? Homeowners, earthquake, and life insurance. 3 policies with Mark. I was about to say auto, but do I have auto? I don't think I have auto. I have homeowners, earthquake, and life. Maybe the future auto insurance, and you can as well. You can get free quotes online. Click the link in the description down below, or call Mark. He will talk to you about the Padres. He's a diehard, lifelong Padres fan, native San Diegan, great insurance agent. You can take that from us. Great service and communication. If you need him, he will be there for you. He'll get back to me on a flight to Hawaii. He'll email me. And I had to file a claim in 2022. He saved us so much time and money. So whatever it is, auto, home, renters, life, earthquake, condo, whatever insurance you need, before you renew your current policy, get in contact with Mark. See if he can help save you money. And also, if you're looking for an insurance agent, again, that can separate from others with their service and communication, consider Mark Nimitz. If you support our channel, please support our title sponsor, Mark Nimitz at Farmers.
Yeah, all his information is on that ticker below, mnimitz@farmersagent.com. When you reach out to Mark, let him know that John and Jim from the wrap-up show sent you.
Can we talk about John Seidler?
Let's talk about John Seidler.
So it's been about 4 days since Kevin Acee released an article in the UT, and it was essentially a profile of the brand new Padres chairman, who is now formally the chairman. I think there was like a 30-day period before he was formally named the chairman, and he's now running the San Diego Padres day-to-day operations. John Seidler, the older brother of Peter. I'm sure a number of you have seen some of our reaction to this, or read the piece, or seen others react to what John Seidler had to say. Both me and Jim happen to be taken aback by some of the comments. Do we think it will define his legacy? Probably not. But it was an interesting introduction to San Diego Padres fans in the UT, the profile piece that Kevin Acee wrote on John Seidler.
It wasn't what I was expecting. I was maybe expecting more of like a formal address instead of a one-on-one controlled environment sit down without him having to like speak in front of a crowd or on a microphone. It was just like a conversation. He said to me mostly all the right things, right? You know, want to bring a championship to San Diego. Nothing's changing right now. Like, we're going to continue to do what we're doing. Kind of like the stuff that I'm sure he was prepped on for sure. But there were two things in it that definitely concerned me. One of them, obviously, was the Dodger stuff. I mean, like, as far as concerning going forward, not really. It doesn't bother me, like, you know, looking ahead. I just was looking at it from a PR standpoint of on day one, you probably don't want to lead with that. Like, you just don't. I have no worry whatsoever. I don't think John is going to be sitting in the press bar or the his booth, and when they play the Dodgers, he's going to be sitting there being like, "Man, go Dodgers," under his breath. Like, I don't have
he's not
that.
wearing it.
Yeah,
Right.
I don't have that worry whatsoever. I believe him that he is all in on the Padres. I just didn't like, you know, not only the acknowledgement, but the how he just was so open about how much he loved the Dodgers. And, you know, Dodger fans and, you know, other fan bases, they see this and they're going to only look at when John said that it was hard for him to root for the Padres back in 2012. And he was a Dodger fan for 50 years. And now if I'm a Dodger fan, I'm telling Padres fans, dude, you know, your owner's a Dodger fan. Regardless of if it's true or not, perception becomes some form of reality with a lot of people, even if it's not true. And I just didn't want that to be out there. I just think that it was not necessary. It's something that's already been known. We know that their ties to obviously the O'Malley family, like his grandparents. Like, I mean, we're not stupid. Okay. We know they grew up Dodger fans. Like, I wish he would have took a page out of his brother's book and just like not even said anything. Like, it's like, yeah, you know what? Everybody knows our past. And, you know, I don't really want to get into it. It's not necessary. All we're doing here is looking forward. And I'm, you know, Team Padres and blah, 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 blah. Right. Like, that's what I feel like should have been said. Instead, he just like dove in and like just dug deeper and deeper into that Dodger hole of how much he loved them for 50 years and how hard it was for him to stop being a Dodger fan and, you know, 12-step process. And I just didn't like that part.
I mean, it was, to me, it's like when someone asks you, like, how was your day? And you like go on some rant where you're like, well, Aaron got mad at me. Like, I didn't ask you. Like, I'm not asking for your family dynamic. You're supposed to say good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? People are like, well, I like transparency. Nobody's transparent. When someone says, how was your day? 5 in 10 people didn't have a good day. You know what they said? It was good. How's mom? She's fine. How are the kids? They're good.
Well, that's us, John. That's like men. Women, Aaron has
but my point is, like, the actual dynamic is there are things going on in a lot of people's lives. To me, it's PR 101. You represent the organization from like the organizational's best, you know, perspective. And some people keep telling me, well, I prefer the honesty and the transparency to him not being truthful. And then I've had this point that, well, if you really want transparency, then why aren't you asking the Padres to open their books or disclose information that fans have been asking about for years from all kinds of Major League Baseball teams? So, I mean, again, I don't think in my introduction to the media, I want to like spill all the beans, is what I would say. I'm not supposed to be this open book. I can just say I didn't grow up a Padre fan, but man, this is the opportunity of a lifetime. It's have an opportunity to be chairman at this point. I couldn't be more thrilled with. My family couldn't be more thrilled with. And our only desire, our only goal is to bring a World Series to the city of San Diego. We're going to prove with our actions, both on and off the field. Done.
Yeah, exactly.
I bleed
Exactly.
blue. I bleed blue, he said, and I couldn't get myself to say, well, beat LA the first
Yeah.
2 weeks that Peter owned the team in 2012. I don't know if I need to get into the details.
Yeah, you don't need to divulge everything, my guy. It's not something I think people were hoping you were going to say. There was no
Right.
big elephant in the room here.
No, we
Nobody
weren't like waiting for his
no,
comments on the Dodgers.
nobody gave a shit. Okay?
Right.
So for anybody that's like, dude, it was I got a lot of these comments. It was the elephant in the room. I'm glad he addressed it. There was no elephant in the
There's
room. There was
exactly.
nothing. There was nothing there that I was waiting for John to talk about with in relation to the Dodgers. I mean, when did we ever, John, me and you, when talking about what we wanted to hear from John Seidler, brought up, I want to hear about what he went through as a fan, being a Dodger fan for 50 years. No, because like that doesn't, I don't care. I literally, I don't care. What I care about is payroll. What I care about is extensions to Jackson Merrill or Michael King. What I care about is, those types of things. You know, your long-term plan with AJ Preller. What are your thoughts on AJ Preller? Right? What are your thoughts on, the organization and how it's run? Right? Like, what are your thoughts on those things? Those are infinitely more important than anything revolving like his fandom growing up. I could give a shit. It was not an elephant in the room whatsoever. And I know Kevin like loved the transparency, and me and you will disagree with him on this forever.
Forever.
And I think he's wrong to think that, and he thinks we're wrong. But you know what? I'm sorry to go out and say those things. It just didn't need to be said, and nobody cared.
Yeah, it's a classic also like, sir, this is a Wendy's. Like, why
what?
are you talking about some of these things?
Yeah.
And here's what you need to do. Again, it's PR 101. What you need to do is you need to get up in front of the entirety of the media, which, by the way, in San Diego is not hard to do. It's not New York
Not
City.
hard.
The New York Post ain't walking in looking for that back page piece, that hit piece on John Seidler. You're going to talk to Kevin. You're going to talk to Dennis. You're going to talk to AJ Cassavell. You're going to talk to Bernie
Darn
Wilson, although he's
Tripp.
retired.
Darn Trip will be there.
Yeah,
Derek
there's going to be 9
Marty.
people. Yeah, there's going to be 9 people. And there's going to be a few questions that are going to be a little more challenging than the others. That's fine. There's going to be 3, 5, 7 questions that you're going to have to prepare for. And once you get through this 15 question barrage, the back and forth, 5 of the questions are challenging. The other 10 are freaking layups. It's over. And you move on. But to do the controlled environment, speak to one reporter. And I'm glad I spoke to Kevin because we talk to him every week on John and Jim. So I'm glad that happened. But again, if I was advising the Padres, I would say, just get up in front of the podium, speak with the 7 or 8 media outlets, get it over with, and let's put this behind us. But now these questions continue to loom. When's he going to speak with the collective media?
And I just want to, like, it's not about speaking to the entirety of the media. It's not. It's about speaking to the entirety of the media to get your voice and your face out there to the fans. Like, that is the most important thing, is that the fan base can hear from you. And how do they hear from you? Through the media. So if you're going to be talking to just one person in a controlled environment on print, I don't think that like does anything for you. I just don't. Because now going forward, I don't really give a shit about what John is doing right now or whatever. But when things happen, guess what? You think of John Seidler first now, with payroll, contracts, firings, like controversies, things that are happening in sports. Where do you go to first? You go to the owner.
Mm-hmm.
It's just you go to the owner every time. And I don't know yet. Again, I could be completely wrong. I don't know if by hearing him say things like, I never wanted this. And again, nobody could have seen the passing of Peter. So of course he's not sitting there back in 2012 being like, I can't wait to be, the control person of this team after my brother. Like, I get it. Nobody could foresee this and whatnot, but we've had almost a year and a half to figure this out. You know, Eric Katsenda took over to like keep the chair warm. And during that full year, you had an opportunity to figure out where you were going to go as a family. And you gave it to a guy that doesn't want it. So for me, that's where my like antennas go up of like, can we really trust this guy? And by trust this guy, can we like believe and put, you know, everything behind like he's going to be doing the right things, making the right moves?
It's not even that for me. It's just, I don't know. I don't even know what it is for me, other than the fact that he's leaning into something that I'm running away from. And maybe it's smart of him. Maybe that's what people prefer, because I did see the reaction. I've seen what people have said on X and on Instagram.
But you know what it's, you know what,
it hasn't been. I actually thought there'd be much more negative reaction to him describing his affinity for the Dodgers growing up. Not that it's his fault. I'm not saying it's his fault as a 14-year-old. He likes the Dodgers. If his granddad owned them, I get it.
I could care less.
I completely get it. But I'm just saying that I thought, you know, I use this dynamic. We've talked about this. Like, if this was a Michigan Ohio State thing or a Yankee Red Sox thing or a Giant Dodger thing, it's playing out differently, is it not? If
100%.
Yeah, if the new Red Sox owner was a lifelong Yankee fan, that's not going over well in New York. And that is on the back page of the New York Post day one. And it's probably on the back post of the New York Post for like a week.
Yeah.
So again, it's different. Okay, we're not in New York. That's fine. I have no problem with that. I'm just saying I'm surprised that people are kind of like good, good with it. Like, it's fine. It's no big deal. It's transparent. I love transparency.
Yeah, I look at things and like you do as I know you do as well from a different fan lens. I think it's a more critical lens. I think it's a more like demanding lens as a fan. I think just because those things are the lenses we look through doesn't mean we can't be fans of teams and root for them, right? Like we're still like, yes, we want to root for the teams and everything and whatnot. But I also do think there's a nonchalantness. Is that even a word? Nonchalant?
Yeah. Yeah.
I know, but nonchalantness. There's a nonchalantness with some people. And it's not all fans here, but a nonchalantness of like, it's fine, whatever. Like, okay, that's fine for you. For me, that's just not how I operate. And that's not how you operate either, because I'm just, I guess, as they say, like, I'm just built differently. Like, I just don't view those things as, whatever, you know, it's fine.
Right.
Oh, they're fine. It's okay. Like, I just can't. But yeah, me and you will go down as thinking that he should never have said that. It feels like we're like the only people in town that are that way. I don't know. It's kind of weird. As far in the media goes, everyone's like, oh, it's fine.
Yeah. Why are you making it a big deal?
Yeah. And then the other thing that I mentioned is the fact that like the dude didn't even want this after a year of the family figuring out what to do. So that to me is where like I'm saying, if you know, to Padres fans, it's probably wise to hold off on fully trusting this guy on day like 6 before you actually see things that build that trust. You know, Peter built that trust and it was very quickly, right? Machado, all this trades, signings. Like he said, I'm going to do this right now because one, I want to win, and this is going to build the trust of the fan base. You know, he didn't become, he was a part of the minority ownership group in 2012, but he didn't become control person until 2019.
Mm-hmm.
And he was a driving, or 2020, I guess. And he was a driving force and the reason why Manny Machado's in a Padres uniform. So can John Seidler be a driving force into keeping Jackson Merrill here long-term? Can he be a driving force in signing guys like Michael King long-term? Right? Is he going to be a driving force in keeping Preller here long-term? Or if something happens, like, you know, guess what? Who's hiring the next general manager? It's going to be John Seidler. So like, I don't know how fans can just automatically trust this guy 100% right away because he said some nice things about how he likes going to Padres games now and he wants them to win a championship. Anybody could say that. Actions
Yeah,
are going
I'm
to speak louder than
100%.
words.
It's all actions. Like my first move here, and that's why Cease isn't moving. I mean, they'd have to literally have misread everything to
Yeah.
move Dylan Cease over the next 10 days. Like, I don't even know how you could possibly do it. But in fact, you got to do the opposite. If I'm John Side, this is, I mean, again, it's action speaking louder than words. I'm not saying it's easy, it takes money. Go do something of substance to improve this club. And it doesn't even have to be for 2025, it can be an extension. It can even be float an article out there. The Padres have engaged Jackson Merrill extension talks. That's significant.
Yeah.
Go float an article. The Padres have engaged Michael King in extension talks. Doesn't mean you have to get it done. Go do something like that. Put the money where the mouth is, which is what Peter did. And maybe they will with time. He's literally been running this team for 4 days. So I'll give him some time. But this is all going to be action based. Like they're either going to do it with action or they're not going to get anywhere near to living up to Peter's legacy. Like Peter's legacy and bar is so high as an owner that you got work to do to get anywhere close. You're not going to get by and be near Peter's legacy. You're not going to stumble in to equaling Peter's legacy. You're going to have to go do it with like hard work, like get dirty, so to speak, to get anywhere near Peter's legacy. And also, I don't think you're going to be given a long grace period just because your last name is Seidler. I don't think it hurts. I think walking in with the last name of Seidler is going to help. But guess what? 3 months in, if you're 30 and 50, like it's only going to buy you so much.
100%. The Seidler name is a name in this town that is revered, but at the same time, it's not every Seidler. So, like, you know, you have to make sure that your actions are going to match your words. I don't know if he can do that. I hope he can. I can't say for certain right now. And yeah, I think there's a lot of questions that still need to be asked. And that's why this is kind of like, why is nobody really talking about this? I mean, you don't think, I mean, if I'm Dennis, I'm like, what the fuck? Right? Like, are you serious? If I'm AJ, if I'm Caswell, if I'm whoever writes, well, that's pretty much it. But like, are you serious? You kept him behind closed doors. That to me is a little bit of a red flag. Would you agree?
I don't know if the term for me is red flag. I just think it's a poor decision. Like I think it was poorly thought out to introduce him in a one-on-one. Like I think that was probably misguided because the expectation is, this is so obvious. The expectation is if Mark Cuban buys the Mavericks, you go sit down in the arena with the media. You have a press conference.
That's video and you talking to the fans.
When Manny Machado signs with the Padres, you don't call up The Athletic and do an exclusive interview with them. That doesn't make any sense. The media is going to have, because by the way, a lot more people know Manny Machado before he came to the San Diego Padres than John Seidler before his chairman responsibilities started. But yet Manny's still meeting with the entire media. Why wouldn't John Seidler do the exact same thing? And we are now, think about this. Peter's passing was what, November of 2023? I think that's right.
Yeah.
From November 2023 to March 16th of 2025, once someone has spoken to the media in a open forum, one time, Eric Atsenda, March or February of 2024. You're talking about 17 months, someone to answer questions for 15 minutes about the organization from an ownership perspective.
Yeah. Yeah. And not all owners were like Peter, where they spoke a lot and they were on, the speed dial of all the media members, right? And went on radio and everything.
It's true.
I'm sure I could find a handful of owners in sport that just don't talk. Right.
Yep.
Especially, but to me, those are the owners that I wouldn't want as like a fan, unless they win a bunch. Then I could give two shits. As a fan, I want to know that my owner is going to speak when things might be going rough. I want to know my owner is going to be there to, steady the ship. I want to know that, my owner, is showing actions to make sure that he's doing that there's everything that's need to be done to be a winner is being done. And I'm afraid that this guy is now going to go back in hiding. And I'm not saying hiding just because he's scared of the media. I think that that's just who he is. I think reading this piece, he seems like a guy that does not want to be in the public spotlight at all. He much rather be a guy that nobody knows about. He much rather be a guy that could walk the concourse of Petco and have nobody recognize him. That wasn't Peter. I mean, Peter I don't think want it, but he was more than happy to walk the concourse and take pictures with fans and whatnot. I don't feel like that's John Seidler at all. So I'm just keeping an arm distance length with this guy until he can prove it. And everything they said to Kevin, most of it, okay, that's great, but show me, bro. Because right now I'm just not gonna fall for it and be like, oh, dude, guy's fucking great, bro. No, you got to prove it, man. You got to prove it.
We'll get back to the conversation, guys. If you haven't heard us talk about Mova Globes, now is a perfect time to pick one up for the 2025 baseball season, which is about 10 days away, even sooner than that for these games that are being played in Tokyo. You can pick these up. This company, by the way, based in Cardiff by the Sea, this technology founded Cardiff by the Sea, company's based in San Diego. They have all 30 teams officially licensed, all 30 Major League Baseball teams officially licensed. In addition to the MLB Globes, they have so many other cool Globe products, planets, and much, much more. You got to check them out. Click the link in the description down below. They spin automatically with artificial or natural light. Okay. They'll spin all day long in artificial or natural light. Really cool keepsake. Great idea for a birthday fan in your life. Great birthday gift idea. Great for a desk, home office. They really are. And if you want 10% off, use promo code PWS10. That's PWS10. Click that link in the description down below. Pick one of these up for opening day with baseball back here in 2025. Use promo code PWS10 by clicking that link down below and get 10% off.
Yeah, get a Mobile Globe today. The season's right around the corner. As John said, it's a great gift. It's great for a desk, great for a home office, great for a bookshelf. It's great for a nightstand, whatever you want it. If it's in sunlight, spins on its own. It's a cool accent piece. If you don't want a Padres Mova Globe, they have other Mova Globes that are great for a bookshelf as well. I have the Earth Mova Globe, one of their best sellers. It's in our living room, and I love it. Every day it just spins on its own, and it's a great piece, for the bookshelf. John has like the more school Earth globe where like you can look on the map and be like, oh, that's right. Here's Australia, and here's Canada, and here's the United States. So
let me put it back.
Okay, that's good. That's nice.
Alrighty. What else is playing out here? Just the roster crunch, who's on the bench, who's the fifth starter, who's in the bullpen. I mean, they probably have 6 spots up for grabs. Who's your second catcher? I mean, they have a good amount of spots still up for grabs. Yeah, what do you got?
Some catcher talk. Hold on.
Yeah, catcher talk. I love catcher talk, man.
Where is it? So did I? Here we go. All right. This is from James Clark on Twitter at EVT_J Clark. Works for the East Village Times. He put this out. This spring training, these are the Padres catchers in spring. Luis Campusano has a 535 OPS in 22 at-bats.
Not great.
Elias Diaz has a 310 OPS in 22 at-bats. Brett Sullivan has a 360 OPS in 21 at-bats. And Martin Maldonado has a 259 OPS in 17 at-bats. Kyle Higashioka, the Texas Rangers, has a 1293 OPS with 3 home runs and 10 RBIs in 22
Yeah, because he
at-bats
can
this spring. I know that, John. I'm just pointing out that the Padres catcher position on paper right now
is
awful. And it feels like they're going into the season by reverting back to when National League teams had a pitcher hit because that is what this lineup will be. 1 through 8, it'll be, solid, right? Okay, maybe 5 through 8, question marks. But their number 9 hitter every single day will be awful.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't bode well. Not that it's end all be all stuff right now. 20 games into spring training, it's not end all be all, but it's not encouraging. And I'm not overly optimistic about their offense in that position. I'd be shocked if they got anything of real value from that position this year. I don't know what you do if you're Preller. I really don't. You hope. I think you're hoping. Hey, hopefully Diaz returns to a little bit of form. Hopefully Campy does something. He's done it prior for stretches, but it's a big concern. It's one of the bigger concerns, I would say, the offensive production from catcher. It's up there. I mean, fifth starter's up there. Is Hayward holding down left field? Up there. Entirety of the bench pieces up there. Is Robert Torres good? Up there? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's on my list. I'm with you.
Yeah, their lineup this year going into the season is not even as close to as deep as it was at the end of last year. Not even close. Yeah, you could argue their 7, 8, 9 hitters are going to be potentially right now. Things could change. That'd be great. But right now, their 7, 8, 9 are looking really bad. As Faulty Spork says in the chat, could be a gigantic black hole. They're 7 through 9 in the lineup every single game. And I can't remember. I mean, Jackson Merrill was hitting 7th last year for this team. Think about that.
Yep.
And now they're 7 through 9 this year. Every half inning when they're those 3 are up, could be a lot of quick innings, a lot of quick up 1, 2, 3s.
It's a good point. I mean, it's not just the fact that you might not get production there. I mean, you might get the opposite of production, just easy outs,
very
quick
easy,
innings, which impacts everyone in the lineup. We'll see. I mean,
we'll see.
Their offense likely takes a step back in 2025. Their offense was remember how many times would Too Much Mornings tweet out power of friendship? It wasn't. That's the thing. It wasn't always this just sheer power, excellent gap-to-gap power. It was ground ball, ground ball, ground ball, ground ball, 4 runs. It happened with a lot of regularity last year. So are they due for a BABIP drop? Remember, there were RISP in 2023, runners in scoring position. They sucked historically bad, and then last year, we're great. So does it even out? So even if it evens out, that's not a good indicator. And then does their batting average on balls in play drop because it was so good a year ago, and it's hard to sustain that? Again, these are things that are going to play out over the course of a year. Maybe Mike Shildt just has a way of managing clubs to power of friendship innings, although I don't know how you do that. So I think they take a step back on offense. I think they rely heavily on their starting pitching, and I think they come up with a formula to try to get to 80-something wins. I think that's realistic. Hopefully they can add on in July. But, yeah, I'm concerned about the lineup. I am. Because last year's lineup at times was legitimately top 5-ish in baseball. Second half, that lineup was cooking.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we're going to see that out of the gates or not.
Who is it? Carlos in the chat asking, how is Jason Hayward looking this spring? Well, I'll tell you, he's in 125 with the 359 OPS. He went 0 for 2 today.
So he's been pretty good.
So he's right on track. Connor Joe in spring. Let me just pull this up. Where is he? Actually, Connor Joe's had a nice spring. He's hitting 333 with a 987 OPS. It is spring, but still, that's encouraging. You like to see that. Jose Iglesias had 2 more hits today. Tyler Wade actually did something. Tyler Wade, he had a hit today. He had an RBI as well.
Wade,
he's hitting 180. He's hitting 182 with a 471 OPS in spring. So, and then Brendan Lockridge, who Kevin thinks is on this team, he's hitting 333 with an 826 OPS. So there you go. Eggy, not that great of a spring. Tirso Ornelas kind of cooled off a bit here. Gavin Sheets has been red hot for this team. Be interesting to see if Gavin Sheets has a spot on this roster. Your boy Martin Maldonado has 1 hit this spring. He's hitting 059.
Yeah,
How can
again,
you
like,
justify putting him on this roster unless he's like defensive god?
well, I know. Well, they think he is, even though his defensive numbers last year weren't good. Listen, I will look the other way on spring stats until
Yeah.
we get into the regular season and the numbers are the same.
Right. Right.
And I'm not going to give Martin Maldonado 100 ABs to prove that he can hit because I already know he can't. So, like, if I look up and you're 27 ABs in and he's 2 for 27, I don't all of a sudden think that's going to turn around.
Right.
So that's my concern there. It's not to say that everyone that's had a poor spring will have a poor start to the regular season. There's no way that's true. There'll be someone that does nothing in spring and hits, and there's probably someone that's hitting in spring that won't do anything to start the regular season.
You know what?
Yeah, I don't know what to say about the lineup other than there's no real way to lengthen it out other than like hoping for something good to happen with guys that you're not expecting to have big years or making a trade, some type of acquisition or falling into the Solanos and the Peraltas. Is that Jose Iglesias? Is Jose Iglesias going to start the year on your bench and all of a sudden start every single day and hit 330? Maybe. Be great. That's possible. But we're still going to have to see that.
Yeah, not re-signing Kyle Higashioka might come back to bite this team in the ass.
Makes no sense. Over what, $2 million? Now he got the 2 years. But still. Right.
So you gave contracts to guys that if Iglesias makes his team, that's $3 million. Hayward got $1 million. Connor Joe. Are we serious? We're really going to let a guy walk over $3 million?
Right.
I mean, it's a joke. I think that is a huge miss by AJ because what you have to go to and what you're left with is awful. And Martin Maldonado is as close to an automatic out as you'll ever get in baseball. It is like a 90% chance automatic out.
Right, because he makes Hedges look like he's like Benito.
Yeah. So again, it's spring stuff. It's not the regular season. They're not, 5 or they're 8-14 now in spring, John. Did you know that?
That's not terrible. I think they're 8-15.
They're not starting the year 8-14. This means nothing. But if they do start the regular season 8-14, then it's not going to be happy times to start the year here.
It's just it's a weird spring, man. I mean, they with all the losses they had, then they had this spring breakout game Friday. They were getting no hit through 6 innings.
Right.
Again, none of it means anything unless it, to your point, means something in the regular season. It's like nothing matters until it does. Like, does it? It doesn't matter. We joke about them being quote unquote hungover because they were a San Diego FC match last night and then coming back to play and lose it. Again, none of it matters until they make it matter to us. To your point, if they start the regular season 8-14, it effing matters.
Yeah.
Because I know that's only 22 games, but you start digging out 8-14 and you're falling behind teams and you start putting some pressure on yourself and the organization.
What the hell?
So, and hopefully they don't. Hopefully they get off to a much better start than that.
Like, again, the opening day roster is not set in stone for the entirety of 162 games.
Sure.
That thing fluctuates so much, especially in baseball every day. But I don't see how you could honestly start your season with a bench consisting of Brandon Lockridge, Tyler Wade, and Martin Maldonado. I just don't get that. If that were to happen, doesn't make any sense to me.
No, I agree. I agree.
I much rather deal with Campy's a couple issues behind the plate and maybe his flakiness and whatever than Martin Maldonado. That's just me.
Martin Maldonado is going to be a tough sell. This guy, like I said, he better be throwing out multiple base runners per inning.
Right.
To hit 100 here.
Nobody can run on the Padres with Martin Maldonado out there.
Am I overly worried about their second catcher on March 27th? I'm not. If I'm being honest, I'm not overly worried about their second catcher, but I might become July if they continue to lack production. I'm sure I will be. If he starts twice a week and never comes through in any capacity offensively, then as my life just goes out.
If Manny starts the year hitting 130 and Martin Maldonado starts the year hitting 090, guess what? I'll be more upset with the Manny start than the
Definitely.
Martin Maldonado start.
100%. Completely agree with that. I do. We do want to remind our viewers about our friends at Underdog Fantasy. New customers right now using promo code PODSWRAP, that's PADSWRAP, are going to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash, a 50% deposit match, plus a free gimme pick. That's right, a free gimme pick. What does that look like? For example, you would get LeBron James, and it would be higher or lower than a half total point the next time he plays, higher or lower than a half total point the next time LeBron James plays. I know he's been out due to injury. You can pair that with another pick like Jason Tatum higher than 27.5 points in a game. You go 2 for 2, you win. And you get a chance to win up to 1,000 times your money in a single night just by picking higher or lower. It couldn't be easier or simpler to play Underdog Fantasy, the best and easiest place to play fantasy sports. Use promo code PODSWRAP, that's PADSWRAP, and get a 50% deposit match up to $1,000 plus that free gimme pick. Again, with promo code PODSWRAP, that's PADSWRAP. Click that link in the description down below.
Or scan the QR code right there.
Yes.
Download the Underdog Fantasy app. Use promo code PODSWRAP when you start playing. Baseball season's coming up, guys. We're 11 days out from opening day, which is kind of wild. And Underdog Fantasy is going to be your best friend during the
It
regular
really
season.
will.
Yeah.
That's a great point because with Underdog, you can do baseball. You can pair it with NBA. You can
Mhm.
pair it with college sport. I mean, you can pair it with anything. It doesn't have to be the same sport. And if you use promo code PODSWRAP, you're getting the free gimme pick and the 50% deposit match. So click the link in the description down below. PADSWRAP is the promo code. I kind of love this question from HBBV. Thank you for the super. He says, what if San Diego FC gets a ring before the Padres?
Dude, that is now going to be our 4-4 question.
Yeah, put in the wrap. I love that.
Or yeah, the wrap. Sorry, not 4-4.
He says Trey Xander. No, I don't think they can.
No.
But San Diego FC hasn't lost. They're the only expansion franchise in Major League Soccer history to go 4 matches or more without losing to begin their tenure. So 2 wins, 2 draws.
Wouldn't that be something if SDFC is the first major sports team in town to win a championship? I don't think it's going to happen this year. I mean, that'd be completely bonkers to see an expansion team win a championship in their first season. I mean, that's like never happens. And, you know, eventually the San Diego sports curse will rear its ugly head, even though it kind of has already with the Chucky Lozano injury. Like,
yeah, he got hurt in the second match, right?
Yes. First home match, 20 minutes in, boom, you're gone. Like, what?
Good point.
So, yeah, I mean, I do know that if they ever won a championship, maybe that's what it would take for the Padres to acknowledge them. But other than that, we'll see.
It would be an interesting story if that played out. And by the way, we'll take it. I mean, if either SDFC or the Padres win a title, I mean, listen, I'll entertain the conversation.
Did you hear what I said about acknowledgement?
Oh, we'll acknowledge it on social media.
Yeah, I said maybe if they win a championship, that will be the thing that makes the Padres acknowledge them. Probably not. Yeah.
Do you want to talk about that again?
I mean,
we'll get to JD Gotcha in a second. Talk about it.
I mean, I find it funny that you have a franchise that has actively chosen to not acknowledge any other sports teams in town, while every other sports team in town acknowledges each other as well. And also by you, I mean the Padres. I mean, the minority owner of a minority owner of the team is the face of your franchise, yet you do everything you possibly can to not acknowledge that. And that's not on like the social media admins or whoever. That's with the big boys. That's with your boy group. And for whatever reason, you know, we are not acknowledging them. We are not saying anything about them. And that is final. So, I mean, it's not just me now saying it, you know, and it's picking up some steam a little bit. Again, it's going to obviously not be like the front and center thing every day, but it is funny when like all of your star players are at the game last night, yet they don't do anything to acknowledge that, like, at all. So
and that's Jim's rant. And the funny thing about how I feel about it is this is my honest, true feeling. I could care less.
I know,
I just
dude.
don't care.
I know you
I
don't.
really don't. And I respect the Padres' position on it, even if it might not be the right one. I'm not saying it's the right one, but they got 3.2 million people walking through those turnstiles, man, whether they tweet that or not, and they know it. And who cares what they have to say about other
Well,
teams is how I see it. But not I get people disagree with that. I get it, but I
guess
don't
what?
care.
There eventually, in some point, and probably not for in the near future, there will be a time. Mark my words, there will be a time when the Padres suck and SDFC is really good, and they
Right.
both play on the same day, and SDFC outdraws the Padres. There will
Oh
be
yeah,
a
yeah. No,
there will be a
that could
time.
happen. Jim, it could happen before they suck because there could be a night where SDFC draws 35K. I'm making up on a Wednesday, and the Padres draw 33K on a Wednesday day game. You know, it's possible. It's
Yeah,
possible.
but I mean, like straight up head to head.
Yeah, it's possible in the future. You're right. Absolutely, I agree. But guess what, Jim? Them sucking won't be saved by some tweet.
No, I'm not saying it will. I'm just saying that if they think that they can dominate this town forever,
Sure.
I mean, yeah, maybe in like the print media and on local radio because you have your own radio station, right? But I'm sorry, if you guys suck, the as you say, they're still going to draw 3.2 million fans if they don't tweet. Well, guess what? There's going to be a time when they're always going to outdraw as far as like overall for an entire season because
Well,
that will
yeah,
never
it
it
won't be
duh.
close.
But there will be moments, guarantee it, in the future. Don't know when that moment is, but there will be a time when they go head to head and STFC outdraws the Padres, and there will be more eyes focused on STFC than the Padres because the Padres eventually in their history will suck again, and STFC eventually in their history will be really, really good.
They could both use their games on TV. Just
That too.
FYI,
That
they could
too.
both use their like if SDFC had a local deal with Fox 5 or the Padres, like they
Yeah.
could both benefit from having their games not behind paywalls. And I have both paywalls, but they could both benefit greatly from it. JD Gacho, thank you for the super. He says, shout out to UCSD's men's and women's basketball teams in the NCAA tournament. San Diego State men's and women's basketball teams in the NCAA tournament. Historic day for the Tritons and the Aztecs. Did you see this stat, Jim? There are 2 cities in America with multiple teams in the NCAA tournament, San Diego and Omaha. Omaha is Creighton and Omaha, whatever school that is. And of course, San Diego has SDSU and UCSD. That shocks me that like Philadelphia, New York don't have more than one this year, but they don't apparently. So yeah, San Diego is maybe the capital of the college basketball universe right now, maybe for the week.
I mean, I think it's one of the more incredible sports stories in this town's recent history. The fact that, like, I mean, March Madness, the biggest, obviously one of the biggest sporting events that this country has
No
nationally. I mean, some people might view this as the biggest sporting event right behind the Super Bowl, like March Madness, right behind the Super Bowl for a lot of people, probably. And the fact that every single D1 men's and women's team in this town is in that tournament is insane. It is an incredible feat. Now it would take it to another level if you had a couple of these teams like do some damage in the tournament, right? Like, I mean, there is a possibility, although unlikely, but there is a possibility that UCSD and San Diego State can meet in the Elite Eight.
Give it to me. Did you see Fanta? Did you see Fanta today?
He picks UCSD to beat Michigan and go to the Elite Eight, right?
He has UCSD in the Elite Eight. Yeah.
Yeah.
He has North Carolina winning on Tuesday, but he has UCSD in the Elite Eight.
Well, he's not my friend anymore.
No, yeah, he is. But
I know. I love
dude. If UCSD, shoot. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, it's an amazing. So how is UCSD in their first year of eligibility in the tournament in both men's and women's? Like that's ridiculous.
And then also San Diego State men's and women's are both in the tournament as well.
It's
like
crazy.
that's also ridiculous.
They haven't done that since 2012.
If it was just SDSU and UCSD men's teams, that's still an incredible feat.
That's amazing. It was just their women's teams. Good
yeah, it's just the women's teams. It's incredible. But for like every single D1 team, you're like, whoa, okay.
Yeah. I mean, USD has some work to do. JD Gaucho follows up by saying, I think the Big West was close to 2 bids. UC Irvine needed one more win, but I'm glad UCSD got it done. Tritons can win an NCAA game or 2. They can. I don't think Michigan's a great matchup, truthfully. Michigan's massive and out-rebounded Maryland by 30. So I don't know what UCSD is going to do in that regard. But I don't think the Big West was anywhere near 2 bids, truthfully. You said the final teams out are like teams that are like 19 and 15. Ohio State's like the last team out there, 17.
Indiana.
Yeah, I just don't think they were. I don't think there was any scenario where the Big West was getting 2 teams.
So the last 4 out were what? Indiana, Ohio State, Boise State, and
Boise was 4th.
Yeah.
And
again, so all the people out there that was like
Virginia was the first team out. Hey, dude, UC Irvine ain't getting in over West Virginia, who should be in the tournament.
No. And thankfully, UCSD did win their tournament because that would have been
they would have been out. Positive.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm positive. People would have raged about it in San Diego. Nobody nationally would have said anything.
No.
And West Virginia would be in or whatever. They'd 100% be out.
Yeah. They're 12 seed, and look at how good of season they had.
Yeah, exactly. They only lost 4 games.
They had you have people gushing. I mean, Rocco Miller was on our show, and he's gushing about UCSD. Yeah. John Fanta's gushing about UCSD. They're 12 seed.
Yeah, no, I'm 100% with you. All right, guys, join us tomorrow, San Diego Sports 760, John and Jim, beginning at 2 p.m. Full reaction to Padres spring training, Aztecs, Tritons, San Diego FC, and more. Please subscribe to this channel, year-round content for Padres fans. If you have not subscribed, if you're here live on a replay, please subscribe. That's all we ask. Please subscribe to this channel. Opening day is coming. Follow us on X. Smash the like button, but we're on X at John Schaefer, at Jim Russell SD. Support our partners, Mark Nimitz at Farmers Insurance. If you have an insurance need, click that link in the description down below. Mark's our title sponsor, Mova Globes. Remember to use promo code PWS10 to get 10% off. It's promo code PWS10 to get 10% off. And Underdog Fantasy, scan that QR code, get a free gimme pick plus a 50% deposit match up to $1,000 when you use promo code PODSWRAP. That's PADSWRAP. All right, for Jim, I'm John. This has been the Wrap Up Show. Thanks, guys.
Peace.